Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Romi Rami. This is designed by Antoine. I cannot say your last name. It's Lefebvre. And this is distributed in America by Hachette.
You guys, this is a fairly simple card drafting game. In this game, you're going to lay out some cards. You're going to be able to take all the same number or all the same suit of cards on your turn, and then you're going to try to fulfill some contracts based off of runs or sets. Pretty simple, but even still, let me give you a quick overview of how to play. Alright, here's our setup for Romi Rami. It's really just 2 decks of cards. This is going to be all of our different cards that we're going to be drafting, and here is our contracts that we'll be fulfilling. On our turn, what we can do when we're drafting these cards is we can choose up to 3 cards. They have to match either in their suit or in their number. So for instance, we could take the 2 2s, or we take the 2 1s, or the 2 4s, or we take both hearts, or in this case, 3 cherries. Let's go ahead and do that. There's a lot of these contracts that involve cherries. Alright, let's talk about these contracts for a minute as we're refilling this. Basically with the contracts, there's 3 different kinds of things you can do. There are sets, so if you have a set like that, it means you have to have 5 of the same exact number. Or you can have runs. This has a little kind of arrow going through the arc. That means they have to be a run in order of numerically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Sometimes there'll be multiple things. This one has a pair and a 3 of a kind. And then really what you can do is you could do like 2 2s, then you could do like 3 4s, something like that. Or if you had a whole bunch of 2s, you could do a pair of 2s, and then a set of 3 2s. Sometimes it'll list the exact numbers it wants in the pairs. In this case, it wants 2 5s, and then any set of 4 that you could choose. Alright, so for our next turn, what we're going to do is we are going to choose some of these hearts. There's a whole bunch of hearts out there. We can choose up to 3 of them again. Alright, and then now, so now we've got our hand of cards, we can actually start fulfilling some of these contracts. So in this case, this one has, remember that run 1 through 4, or we can do 2 through 5, I guess. And then here we have our numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we can spend these in order to take this contract. If any of the cards that we use in this contract matches the suit on the contract, we would set those aside. In this case, we did not use any of the diamonds, none of them came up, but what we would do is we'd set those aside later. There would be extra points for us. This is a fairly easy contract to fulfill. As you can see, it's only worth 1 point up here in the top corner. Some of the contracts are worth 4, maybe even 5 points for the more complicated ones. Also at the top of the card, there might be some symbols. This one has 4 cards in a set like that. That means that that's one of the symbols that was used for this particular card. That's going to be relevant towards these tokens up here. At the beginning of the game, we're randomly going to flip those tokens over so that they show some kind of symbol. And whoever has the most symbols at the end of the game that matches that particular thing is going to win the game. So for instance, if we had this one that shows that shamrock, whoever had the most shamrock-based contracts at the end of the game would be awarded this card or this tile and get 3 points at the end of the game. Whenever cards get taken, they are replenished at the end of the turn, both with the numbered cards and with the contracts. We got a lot of hearts over there. That's perfect because there's a heart contract. The main thing to remember when you're playing the game is that you can draft up to 3 cards. They have to be either all the same suit or all the same number. And then after you've drawn your cards, then you can fulfill a contract if you're able. You do have a hand limit of 10 cards. If you ever have more than 10 cards after you've drafted cards, you have to discard down to 10 at the end of your turn. Similarly, if you ever have less than 3 cards at the end of your turn, you actually get to draw up to 3. So you always start your turn with 3 cards at least. Every player has also been given one of these little stars. This kind of acts as a wild card during the game. You can use this any time, as any number, or as any color, and basically what it's going to be worth is 1 point at the end of the game if you do not use that. So it's kind of worth hanging on to, or maybe it's worth it to use if you can fulfill a really expensive contract. Based off the number of players, we're going to play until one player gets a certain number of contracts. So in a 4-player game, once one person gets their 5th contract, or in a 3-player game, once someone gets their 6th contract, or in a 2-player game, once someone has got their 7th contract, that's going to trigger the end of the game. We're going to finish the round so everyone has an equal number of players, and then we're going to count up our points. We're going to get points for all the contracts we fulfilled, and then we're going to add up all of the cards that we used to fulfill those contracts that match the contracts. So again, if we'd used any diamonds on this particular one, we would say that set those aside. Those would all be points at the end of the game. And then we would compare all those trophy tokens. We would see who has the majority of those areas and award those tokens. And again, if anybody had not used their star left, that'll be worth a point at the end of the game as well. After all that, whoever has the most points wins the game.
I really like the trophies because what I do is I look at the trophies and I actually try to get them. I try to get the most of a certain suit or the most pairs or something like that. And Ryan doesn't even pay attention to the trophies. But you know what ends up happening with Ryan not even paying attention to the trophies? He keeps getting all the contracts that I want that gives him the points to the trophies, even though he's not even trying to do it. He's like, oh, what are the trophies? I forgot about those. And I'm trying to get them.
That's what I sound like, by the way.
When we play games. It goes like this. this is how Ryan talks.
Eeyore, apparently.
He moves his ponytail like this. But I really like that it could still give you a direction to go if you're trying to decide what contracts you want to fulfill or what things you're trying to aim for. Those trophies do give everybody a direction.
I like the drafting mechanism of taking all of the same number or all of the same suit. And you're limited to 3. Even if there's more than that available, you have to only take 3 or less. I think that's a really clever decision point, you know? If you really need 4s, but there's only one of them out there, but there's like 3 hearts, you take the hearts or you take the 1 4 that you need, or whatever the case is. I love that decision point of having to figure out whether you want quantity or quality. It's a great drafting mechanism.
Also, with the contracts, they all have a suit associated with them. Now, you do not have to, unless the contract specifies something, follow that suit. However, every card of that suit you play, you turn face down, and it's a point at the end of the game, and that is so much fun because you want that. Like, sometimes you just want to collect them, like I said, for those trophies, but you're also just wanting to get the points that are on these contracts. So sometimes you're just trying to get stuff out, but oftentimes, more often than not, everybody's trying to draft certain cards so that way they can turn these face down. And then in almost every game we've ever played, we've had to reshuffle. And so all of those cards that you've taken are now not going to get reshuffled. So you're getting those points and you're making it more difficult towards the end of the game for everybody to get what they need.
I think this did a really great job of blending hobby style, like the card drafting, with like more mass market or more family-friendly card game style scoring. I think that was a really great blend because this is going to be a game that you can teach pretty easily to anybody who's played, you know, card games before. So they're familiar with something like Rummy, where you're creating sets and runs, things like that, or even poker, where you have straights on 3 of a kind, stuff like that. All those concepts kind of they're already kind of familiar to a lot of people, even if they're not, you know, hobby board game players. So this is going to be a very easy game to teach to those people. All you have to do is teach the drafting mechanism, which itself is pretty streamlined as well, and they're off to the races.
I totally agree with that. I think that this is a great board game plus. I think a lot of us in the hobby always try to find games to where we can play with people who aren't necessarily in the hobby yet. And so if you have people in your life who do play card games or have played card games, but they're not like gamers yet, this is one of those games that bridges the gap. This is one of those games plus that I think would be perfect for people like that.
Yeah, this game is snappy. It's quick. The turns are really, really fast. It's clever, and this is gonna be a game I think that's gonna be very accessible for a lot of gamers and non-gamers alike.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.